This is One on One with Jasper Cole, Hollywood's bad guy, and so much more. Actor, talent manager, producer, and more. Now he's sitting down with today's top newsmakers from entertainment, politics, pop culture, and beyond. This is One on One with Jasper Cole.
Woo-hoo! All right. Howdy, 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 and welcome to One on One with Jasper Cole. Well, today this is a very special day because we have moved over from the no fluff zone into the shallow room.
Yes.
Because we are
shallow.
We're
and
back.
We're proud of it.
I am so excited because I get to bring back my posse from the other show.
Your squad.
Oh, yeah.
The Mod Squad.
I have two beautiful women here, starting with Miss Ralph Cole Jr.
Hello. I hope I can say Planet Earth in here.
You can.
It's my tagline. I can
still
It's
say
your
wherever I am.
tagline. You
Yeah.
copyrighted it.
Hello, Planet Earth. Jasper, thank you for having me on your show. I realized
Remember,
show-
this is a tryout for you as well.
Okay,
Right.
no, because every show before for the last 4 years was always a
Didn't he
constant
put us
audition.
up for adoption and then he brought us
my
back
God,
in?
listen. I know
We're
the
like
show is
foster
supposed to be
children.
all
Right.
serious.
One day you're in and one day you're out.
One-on-one with Jasper.
It's 5-on-1 with Jasper
He's
Cole.
a talent
Oh.
manager.
I've seen that video.
He's a clairvoyant.
Okay,
he's
whatever.
athletic.
Two
whatever.
houses.
Jamaican.
Okay, but he brought us back, so I'm glad to be back, and I never
you
take
know,
things for
the
granted.
bitch is back.
The real beauty is Dara, Zane, Scully.
Yes,
Hello,
work it out,
everybody.
Dara.
Welcome back.
Entertainment dish with Dara.
Entertainment dish.
And
so
because
nice.
of you guys, I thought it would be appropriate to move back into the original studio.
Yeah, Dominic, so we're here. Okay.
Okay,
Dominic. Shout out to Dominic Friesen,
Publicist extraordinaire.
He is a publicist extraordinaire.
He is tireless and indefatigable.
He is tireless.
And speaking of tireless, we have to say hi to Mr. John Williams.
Hello,
Yes.
Hello,
John.
JW.
The
I'm
other
off
John
camera.
Williams.
I'm off camera, but I'm here.
No,
The
you're
other John
here.
Williams.
The
So
engineer.
The other white meat.
For 3 months,
The
it's
other
just
white
been JW and I in that other room. It felt like we were on some sort of spiritual retreat.
You know.
Maybe,
Right?
yes.
And now we're back.
This is like old home week.
I know.
I feel
This is
so
like
comfortable.
this is homecoming.
The new logo looks nice on the wall too.
Yes.
It's
Thank
very
you.
nice. Tony Sweet, that very nicely done with the logo on the wall. I'm liking that. No, I got to see Carla Renata too. She looks
yes,
fierce.
Carla Renata.
It is like old home week here. I got my parking. Tony Tripoli
Oh,
is
I
sitting
was
to
gonna-
the right
yes.
of me.
Give a
Oh
shout
my
out.
God!
Our very special guest today.
Another beautiful man for me to
Another
look
beautiful man.
Stand-up comedian,
extraordinaire,
producer, writer,
beautiful face.
actor.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Jim
that's quite a
Buff,
face.
Jim,
Too many
things.
everything.
Too many
He's just
things.
The hour is
When you
gone.
got it, you got it.
Well, we're so honored to have you here. Thank you so much
Thanks,
because
I'm
we're
thrilled
all
to be
fans
here.
of yours and we love
That's
you.
so sad for you. But
No.
you really should make better choices.
No. I told Tony earlier I love following him on Facebook because of all the hilarious stuff he posts.
Oh,
So,
right.
yeah.
He's pretty fierce and pretty out there with his opinions.
We
I
like that. We like
Let
that.
me tell you what's great about me.
A lot.
I can form an opinion regardless of how little information I have.
Absolutely.
That's a time saver.
Yes,
is.
it's a total time saver. As my father says, assumptions aren't facts. Yes, they are, Dad.
They are,
Okay.
especially in Hollywood, right?
Hello,
Facts, but they're-
Dr. Zane.
Mr.
Shout
Murray.
out to Dr. Zane.
Shout out. Well, listen, we have to
Yes.
remind everyone to please
Yes.
follow us on Twitter at
Yes.
One on One J Cole,
Yes.
Facebook One on One with Jasper Cole, and if you go to my my what is it called website?
Your sex tape.
Oh yes, and
Along
just-
with Bill Cosby. Don't
Thank you.
You guys do an act together. Don't
yeah.
put on
Okay.
Quaaludes are back.
Okay, yeah.
You can go to the website and follow the link on the show. And then also, if you go to ubnradio.com, click on One with Jasper Cole, we have to give a shout out to our 24 sponsors
he's
now.
bragging. Okay.
Right? Because
Let me pull
if
this
it weren't
back.
for them, so I'm just going to start,
Yes.
Dara.
Yes.
Interserver.com, EUOhosting.com.
Wow.
They might want to fire this.
They might.
AdamandEveToys.com. Oh.
Yeah.
See, I can get a discount up for you on that, Dara, when things aren't working. Okay, surlatable.com, questbar.com, booking.com, flare.com, cheap air, advanced auto parts for our lesbian friends, and then I think
So they can fix their Subaru wagons.
and caulk the tub at the same time. Dara, who do you have?
Oh, okay. I have Fandango.com, ExtendedStayAmerica.com, SuzanneSummers.com.
Bath and Beauty.
Love
Suzanne
her.
Summers.
LibertyMutual.com, ZipRecruiter.com, Jewelry.com.
For you.
Yes. Thank you, Jasper, for that. Mindful.com. What's that? And
Spiritual.
HiltonHotelDeals.com.
Paris and Nikki
Paris and Nikki.
and Kim Richards.
Wow.
And Ralph?
Well, I'm gonna try a different.
Don't put this on your voiceover reel,
Okay, I'm
bitch.
gonna
just
get-
say it. It's,
Don't make it a meal.
Okay.
Don't make it a meal,
Don't make
right?
a meal out of it. The following companies all end in .com.
okay.
There
Here
you
we
go.
That's
Prime
smart.
Slots, Bullguard, Course Smart, Canvas World,
Oh my god.
3-Day Blinds,
I apologize.
Russell Stover Candies,
Jasper.
21st Insurance.
You're gonna need it.
Thank you all for supporting Jasper Cole.
Did you? That's it. That's
Yeah.
all I gave you.
Yeah, because I don't
Oh,
say
because you're,
.com
you're
after
trying
everyone.
out.
It's very
That's true.
breathy,
That's
Eartha
amazing
Kitt.
list
Yeah,
of
it is.
sponsors.
Breathy,
I
Eartha
know. We're
Kitt.
very
No
fortunate.
joke. Those are like legit. First of all, Quest
Jasper's
bar.
on fire.
I don't know if
I-
you eat the Quest
Oh.
bars. I'm obsessed. with
They're
the chocolate chip
$3
cookie dough
a
Quest
fucking
bar.
bar.
Well, if you
I'm
eat
like,
Get
them,
'em on
I'm
Amazon.
eating them.
well, we can maybe
Get them
get
on
some.
Amazon. They should be sending you some for free.
Yes, Quest bars are the
Work
great.
on that, Tony.
Okay, but wait. Have you had the Quest chips?
No.
They make a fake potato chip, but it's like an egg white, so
Okay.
it's all protein. It's like 120 calories for a whole bag of these chips, and they come in cheddar cheese
Oh,
and sour
fuck.
cream and onion and
Oh.
vinegar. They're the best.
You get them online. You go to Amazon.
Amazon, but Quest,
Come
I'm
on.
sure will be
Now we
sending
need to
you.
contact. Yeah.
Which leads
Quest,
me,
we're
which
coming
leads
for
me
you.
to AdamandEve.com.
Let's get
Okay.
over to Adam and Eve
Don't
toys.
act like it's just for her. Let me tell you something.
Okay.
I have some lube that I got from them that is a
Okay.
game changer. It is a
Oh.
game changer.
What's the
Please
name
tell.
of it?
What's it called?
Well, it's their brand. They have
Oh.
like
They
a
brand-
store
brand their own.
Oh, okay.
Like when you're in Vaughn's and you're like, do I need the Progresso soup or just get the
Or
Vaughn's
get the Vaughn's
soup?
brand.
It's like 8 cents cheaper.
Yes.
Get the fucking Adam and Eve lube. I don't know
Oh
what they're
my
doing it out,
God.
but they whisper "good luck" into it or something.
Oh, just relax,
I love-
breathe,
I love
Now,
exhale.
as for Prime Slots, you're on your own. I don't know.
Well-
I have no idea what that shit is, but
Prime Slots is a online gaming gambling site, and we're all
probably
for that
need
too.
lube for that, too.
You may need a little bit of that.
Lube, gambling, it's all good.
Yeah. So okay, listen. So
Yes.
this is our a hot topic show.
Yes.
And okay, let's just give props to Tony Tripoli. As we said,
Tony,
he's a
Tony,
stand-up
Tony.
comedian, a writer, producer. I think a lot of people will remember you from Joan and Melissa, the reality show
yeah,
on Wii.
absolutely.
I remember you from Kathy Griffin's My Life on the D
Yes,
List.
The very first season.
Yes, I remember that. Your stand-up, you opened for Joan, right?
I
You used
did
to.
for like 4 years.
Joan was really a mentor, right? In many
like,
ways.
Joan was the great. She changed my life overnight. And
Aw.
Joan, was. Look, we could literally talk about Joan for an hour.
I
Yes,
know.
we
so
could.
many stories.
Yes,
but,
we could.
But I had only worked for her for a very short time, and she called me, and I have the voicemail, and she was like, she had said, "Do you have any stand-up DVDs?" Because she knew it was a comic, and I was like, "Yeah, you don't want my DVD? Yeah, let me have a DVD." So I give her a DVD, knowing she's never ever gonna watch it. And like a few days later, I get this voicemail from her, and it's like, "Tony, this is Joan Rivers." Like you're not going to recognize the voice.
Right.
And she goes, I'm sitting here with my assistant Jocelyn, and we're halfway through your DVD, and you're so hilarious, and I think you're brilliant. And I want to ask a favor. Would you ever open for me on the road?
Wow.
So I know,
Wow.
like it's a favor. It's
yeah,
a favor.
it's a favor. Don't pay
But-
me. I'm there.
But that's a really
Huge.
This
Yeah.
is, I always explain to people, opening for Joan Rivers is a lot like having sex with a black guy.
Right.
No, the first time it's terrifying,
Right.
and then as soon as it's over, you can't wait to do it again.
And by the way,
Wow.
Ralph doesn't
Ralph
know
doesn't
he's
think
black,
he's black.
so
Okay, yeah.
directing
Yeah.
that to him.
So you can maybe direct it my way.
Right, I'm blacker than Ralph is. So
Really?
yeah.
You should be having sex with black guys because
Okay.
it's good.
Nice
eating.
one,
Let me
JJ.
tell you
But
something.
Tony,
Nice.
how did you actually get to meet Joan to start with? Was it just a
You have to understand this little faggot from Phoenix, Arizona.
Aw.
She was 16 years old. She was the first comedian I ever paid my own money to go see. I bought one ticket, sat in the balcony of Symphony Hall in Phoenix, and all I want. Remember, she used to give away the plants.
Yes.
From the stage? All I wanted was a plant. I used to stay up late and watch her on the Tonight Show. So and my family went to flower shop. So I made this big, hideous presentation bouquet, and I know it's going to get me down front, and then I'm going to stay down front, and I'm going to give her the flowers, and we're going to become best friends. And this was my plan.
right?
Totally.
So I go down there, and I'm sure I probably interrupted like the biggest joke in her show to give her these flowers, and she goes, "Thanks, hon," and then she goes right back on, and security is like pulling me back,
Right.
back to my shitty seat in the balcony. So I was like, "Oh no, my whole plan failed,
Everyone
my
did.
life imploded." So then you cut to 25 years later, 30 years later.
Whatever.
I'm
When you were
writing-
30.
Yeah, well, okay. I'm writing on this show called The Dish, which was
Right,
the
on-
girl version of The Soup.
Right.
With Danielle Fishel. Shout out to Topanga. And she was so great. And I get a call one day. I'm working at E, and I get a call from the E PR department that they're bringing back Fashion Police with Joan Rivers. She doesn't like any of the commercials, and she demanded 3 funny gay guys come to Melissa's house the next day, and she's going to write all new commercials with them.
Oh my God.
And could I go? And so I was like, yes, even if I have to call in sick.
Right.
So I went, And after about 10 minutes, the other two gay guys seemed lovely, but they didn't have, like, I had like sheets of paper. Like, I was up all night. Like, this was it. I was so excited. I'm going to
Well,
finally meet Joan.
you give a really good first impression.
I don't think that's true, but it's
No,
so
you
nice
do.
of you to say
No, you
that.
do.
Oh, thanks.
No, and
Well,
I'm a pretty good reader.
I really was, so excited about it and a fan and this is, and what a fun thing, And so I had all
yeah.
these zingers like, fashion police, just because it zips doesn't mean it fits. Like, shit like that, like fun little, like, right, and so and just pussy this, pussy that, and so I, after about 10 minutes, she takes off her reading glasses and she points at me and she goes, I need to talk to you in the kitchen.
Oh.
And that was when I realized maybe it wasn't that the other guys weren't prepared or didn't have things. Maybe it was that I just didn't give anyone else a chance to talk. And I was being a belligerent asshole. And so I was like, oh God, I'm going to go in the kitchen now with my childhood idol and she's going to tell me I'm a dick. So, like, I can hear that at home. Like, I don't need
Right.
this.
Yeah.
You can call mom for that.
So I go in the kitchen and she spins around in the kitchen. Her little bony little old lady finger goes in my face and she goes, "You are my new head writer."
Oh my God.
And I was just like, buh. And she
Aw.
called the network and made it happen. I had one television writing credit. She made them.
See?
And then
It's all about
a few
who you
weeks
meet.
later, I'm opening for her on the road.
Wow.
I wrote her Twitter. I wrote jokes for the stand-up. I was her opening act. We did Joan and Melissa. We did In Bed with Joan. We did Fashion Police.
In Bed with Joan was brilliant, by the way.
So much
That
fun,
was a
right?
brilliant
When
idea.
she would go in bed with stars, is that it?
Well, they
She
would
would
come
literally
to
be in her bed.
Melissa's
Yeah.
house in her little
In the
room
little
in the
guest
basement
room.
or whatever it
oh,
was.
right.
It was they're all online in bedwithjoan.com. Go look them up.
I watched them all, and you
can't
got
believe
all
how
the big
funny-
stars came there.
Huge stars. Yeah, it was super
what a
fun. Sarah
great-
Silverman was so fun, and Jeffrey
Lance
Ross
Bass.
was
I
one
know
of my
Lance did
favorite.
it, didn't
yeah,
he?
and big stars.
Yeah.
And
See, I
Bianca-
set you up. See, thank you.
No, Lance is a sweetheart. He
I'm
was the
sure.
sweetest
He is.
guy.
Yes.
Bless his heart.
No,
Bless
he really
his
is.
heart.
It's a nice homage to you because when Joan Rivers passed away and they were doing footage on her, they showed the reams of like card catalog files of jokes
Oh, yeah.
that she had. So her watching you with all your preparedness, all the notes that you had written, it reminds me of something
good
that
point.
she might have done back in her day.
I never thought of that, and I think you're right. I think she responded to that
Tenacity and
and the fear.
Yeah.
When you go, this is a really big chance, and I need to be super.
And
super
you came up
prepared.
with all new stuff in addition to stuff that you already had.
Right.
You already had stuff because she's calling you
Yeah.
in, but yet you stayed up the night before feverishly just coming up with quips and jingles and, little
really,
things.
the magic happens when you're with
Right.
someone.
Mm-hmm.
What Joan loved so much was the process of having a funny idea for a joke, and if I bounce this off a couple of homosexuals, how will it become better?
Right.
Right?
well, and also she was such a scrapper in the beginning. I mean, I've read all her books
till the
too.
end.
Till the
all
end.
the but
Yeah.
just trying to break in and what
Yes.
she probably really recognized in you the passion and the do whatever it takes. She probably could picture
Well,
her
she
like
definitely set the way for Sarah Silverman, Amy
Kathy
Schumer.
Griffin. Well, anybody.
It's like
Any
you're
female.
allowed to be.
Chelsea Handler.
You're allowed to be obnoxious,
Yeah.
funny, even
She
if
had
you're a
the best
woman.
joke
And
about Kathy. She
Oh.
had the best joke. She used to say, I should be mad that you stole my act, but I'm really mad that you stole the Burger King's face. That's a good joke.
Well, I have to tell you, years ago when I was like you, I was a huge fan of hers, and so when I moved here, I became friends with Jim J. Bullock. I think it's in the gay. If you're
Yes.
gay, you have to know Jim J. eventually.
I met him a couple of times.
Right.
Okay.
So at
well,
that-
and you're gay.
So I went to his
He
house
is?
for
it's because
Thanksgiving.
he's perfect
Okay.
looking.
And Joan was there because they were friends, and so Joan was there, and
From Hollywood Squares.
I guess so, yeah.
That was where they.
And I'm not starstruck really sorry, Dara, by anyone really, but with Joan, I really was. I was like 22 also. But so I
4 years
watched
ago.
her, I watched her, and it was interesting because she was, so classy, so elegant, very kind of shy
Totally.
at the dinner thing.
a very proper lady.
Yes, and so very English, because Edgar was English, and so I was really observing, and so later as she was leaving, she was talking. There was a Kenny Sasha. I don't know if you guys remember Kenny Sasha. He was a drag queen and a comedian who died of AIDS, sadly. But they were off to the side talking, and she said something like, he must have said to her, "Oh, I'm amazed at how quiet you are," and she said, "Darling, trust me, the lady I am on stage would not be invited to sit at this table tonight."
That's right.
And as a 22-year-old,
Yeah.
I thought, wow, so that's a character in many ways.
Yeah, an
You know,
exaggerated
so
portion
that
of
was a great
herself.
lesson for me.
Totally.
So from that point on, not only did I love her, but I respect her even more because I saw that there was the persona on stage, and then there was
Oh, she was incredible.
Yeah.
She was incredible. I've never seen, she had like a bank stacks of $5 bills. She was constantly just handing money to everybody.
I love it.
And her apartment was the top 3 floors of the building in New York.
I
And
saw
so
it
you
on the
had to
documentary.
take the elevator to get in.
I was surprised they sold it to an Arab. No offense.
Oh
Can
my
you
God!
imagine?
I was really
what would Joan say
surprised.
about that?
But money's money. As my
Well,
mother says, she would have taken money
she would
from
have been
Hitler.
thrilled. Yes. She would have been thrilled because she was asking 25 for it and she got 28 cash.
Wow.
So she'd have been like, la, 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 la,
Money's
I'm out.
money.
She'd have been so glad. But he gutted it.
He did.
He gutted all that gold leafing. He's gutted it.
Well,
So
I
that's
mean,
not
it
good,
is a
but
little dated, but
It was, it
Wasn't
It was
a
Joan, but-
was it a former? What was it before? It was like a.
It was the 7-story building that was not the Astors.
Some-
It was some famous New York
Yes.
family's house, and the top 2 floors was the ballroom.
Right,
That's
the
why it had
ballroom.
double
That's
high
what I was
ceilings.
trying to think
and
of.
so her living room was actually
Literally.
the ballroom. Her bedroom was where the orchestra played up on the balcony. Below that was her library, which was the men's cloakroom, and the dining room, which was the ladies' cloakroom.
amazing.
And so it was not meant to be a residence.
No.
She had the tiniest little kitchen. It was like your first apartment. It was like
Did
the
you
little mini
ever
fridge.
tell her about the boy in Phoenix and the flowers?
So we were sitting in her dressing room at Fashion Police, and this is like year 2, and Joan was incredibly affectionate. She would always she would rub the top of your hand. She would hold your hand and rub it like she was a grandma. She was a Jewish grandmother.
Very Jewish mother, yeah.
And so she was sitting there, and we were getting ready. We had like 10 minutes to kill, and she goes, God, I just love you so much, and like not when they're not dribble, but when they like squirt out.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Oh.
And she goes, oh my God, you're being such a fag. And I go, I know. I know, but here's what just happened just now. Like, I just flashed back to being 16 and paying for this balcony, and I had the flowers, and all I wanted was a plant. And now, I left so brokenhearted. And now here we are 25 years later, and you're holding my hand saying, I love you. And that's so much better than that plant. That plant would
Oh
be
my
long
God.
since dead and forgotten. And this is so much better. And so then she sent me a plant.
She did.
Oh God.
Marijuana.
Would you
I
think?
got a plant from her. She sent gardenia. Gardenias was
I
like
love gardenias.
her flower. Her address was gardenia at blah blah blah, and that was like her code name.
That's so wonderful.
And I have this gardenia plant right outside my bedroom window.
It's
that-
nice to know when somebody's famous that they're as
And-
wonderful as you hope that they are.
Yes.
And Melissa's given me ashes, so
Oh,
I'm gonna
nice.
sprinkle some of her ashes.
Now,
on
do
the
you remember when
gardenia
Joan
and
would do
keep
the
the-
thing where she would take Edgar's
Yes.
ashes on different
She
shows?
had a box
That made
of
me laugh so
ashes.
hard.
She had a box of ashes that were 7 different friends of hers.
Oh my
ashes,
God.
and I know part of her ashes are put in there and mixed. She wanted them to be mixed for eternity, and she wasn't sentimental about those things.
Right,
You know what I mean? She
right.
was very much, the 3rd or 4th day working for her, where everyone was saying goodbye, hair, makeup, the whole team, and everyone was good night, bye, love you, see you tomorrow, love you. And I was like, okay, good night, Joan. And she goes, Tony, we say I love you when we say goodbye.
Oh wow.
And I was like, oh.
Yeah, that's a little tough.
I was like, okay, absolutely. And she goes, and she was like 78 or something. She was like, look, I'm 78. Every time we say goodbye could be the
Yeah.
last time.
Oh.
And I want to know you love
Wow.
me. And I want you to know I love
God,
you.
that's so nice.
And
That's
I mean,
really
think about it.
amazing.
When she died, most of her was 81.
Oh.
That's a long run.
And she had a lot left.
Well,
in
she
her.
had a lot left, and I never met her, and I only knew her, obviously from TV and everything. When she died, you would have thought my mother died, and my mother died 5 years ago, as you know. There was something about her, and it's so nice to hear you confirm it, that she was just so real.
It was crazy.
So
Yeah.
real, and just so she put herself out there, and you knew she took care of the people that she loved, and you knew they knew that
Yes.
she loved them.
Bossy, even. I
Right.
mean,
Who
I
cares?
bought my first
They
home
should be so
ever.
lucky.
Because of her. But
Right.
so 2 years ago, I bought this house, and it was obviously it's a very long process buying a house in Southern California, and I
Yes.
lost a bunch, and there was this one I really wanted, and it just came down to I just couldn't afford it. It came down everything's bidding wars, so you
Right.
start here, and so did you get the house? No, it came down to $12,000, and she was like, well, I would have written you a check, and it's like, no, I can't. You can't just write me a check for $12,000. And she goes, well, I was going to have to get you a housewarming gift, but so when I
Wow.
finally got my house, she said. You have an alarm, right? It's a very dangerous world. And I was like, it's the safest little, tiniest little street. It's so in this little pocket. Like, it's I'm not worried at all. And then the next day, an ADT alarm van pulled up. and she had sent them over to put an alarm in my house.
Wow.
Without my permission
I
at
love
all.
that.
She just was
You're
like,
gonna.
I can't sleep.
He's like,
at
you're
night
gonna
until
have
I
an
know you."
alarm. Here it is.
Yeah. And she put an alarm in my house.
Do you think it would be fair to say that Phyllis Diller was a precursor to Joan Rivers?
Yeah, I mean, Phyllis was 92, I think, when she passed. So she was, a decade, 12 years, 13 years older than Joan. And they were great friends. They were very, yeah. I mean, certainly, I think their careers were very, very intertwined. What I think is so different, not playing favorites, but I think what's different is, Phyllis had a great career in comedy, and that's what she did her whole life.
Right.
Whereas,
Joan did a lot.
Joan did
Joan
what
built
she
an
did for
empire.
QVC, she was
The
the
QVC
first
yeah.
celebrity. SuzanneSummers.com. She was the first celebrity on QVC. And at a time when everyone said this is going to be the end of your career,
Right.
and she was so open about there being a lot of dips where she wasn't playing 5,000 seat arenas. She was playing 100-seat comedy clubs and having that QVC money. Those women, she loved those QVC women.
Right.
They're
she
devoted.
respected them so much, and she would say, I would watch her when she would get the samples back and stuff, and she would say, but what's the price point? And they would say, well, this has to be, $49.99 because these are very expensive beads or whatever. And she was like, no, this has got to be $35. And she's like, well, they could take out 9 beads. And she's like, no, I don't want to screw them. I want them to have all the beads.
Wow.
We've just got to find a way to do
To make it work.
I heard these conversations. So she really
She was totally hands-on with all of her jewelry too, right? Everything.
100 times I was
Yeah.
walking down the street with her, and she would run into a fan, and the fan would, it's so nice to meet you, and oh my gosh, I love your necklace, and she'd be like, oh, it's QVC here, and she would take it
I've
right
heard
off
that.
of her.
Was she good to her fans?
It was ridiculous.
Yeah, so she didn't get tired of them coming up to her.
Lived for it.
Wow.
She was in hair. She had her hair and makeup on every single day, and I was like, don't you ever just want to stay home and be in sweats? And she
sweats.
was like, I worked too hard
Yes.
to be this famous,
Right.
to stay home in sweats. I can anytime I want, and it's nice knowing I can. But if I'm going to leave the house, I owe them. If someone's going to run into Joan Rivers one time on the street in New York, they deserve the full Joan Rivers.
That's
She better be
fantastic.
in a fur with her hair done, so she
That's-
would never do a ponytail and sunglasses
Right.
and a lip. She was never one of those stars. It was.
Like you do, Jasper.
Oh, right. I understand. We're different in that way.
Are you working on Fashion Police now or not?
Yeah.
Oh, you are
So
now.
let's talk.
Yeah.
I want to
Yes,
talk about
okay.
that because there was some controversy. Well, first of
There
all,
was.
I loved
lot.
when Kathy came. I thought Kathy was
Really?
going to be. Well, I love.
She wasn't that great. You know who's really good is Margaret Cho.
Oh, well, she's been the best
I
thing
think she
ever.
is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's
But I
a
want to go back
magical
to. We got to go
person.
back to Kathy for a second.
She is magical.
I just want to know what happened.
It didn't work for her.
Well, Kathy. Okay, so Kathy and I have a long history. Had been friends with her for 10 years. Suddenly, the chorus starts to stutter. The thing is, it seems like I'm going to say, look, Kathy Griffin is not the only famous person in Hollywood that's a complete cunt. There's a lot of them.
Right,
It's not just her.
Right.
So
Oh,
this is
I
not
love
news.
this.
All
I
right.
know,
There's
I
a
know.
lot of really famous people that are despicable, disgusting,
Right.
horrible human
Yes,
beings.
I've
She
heard
just
that.
is one of them.
Yes.
So,
But let me. I'm sorry.
She's
Did you?
super funny.
But you
She's
knew
super
that going. I mean, you kind of knew.
well,
when
so we stopped being friends.
Okay,
Maybe,
got it.
Okay, you know what?
8 or 9
Kathy
8
Griffin
years
is
ago.
not allowed to be a CUNT because she's not even pretty. I mean, I don't mean to be mean, but
Wow.
really,
She
get
does-
over yourself.
But I will say she looks better than she's ever looked right now.
Yeah, but you
and
know
this
what?
is coming from someone who's not. You know
it's
what I mean?
like, what's the matter with you? Why are you like that?
You know what? We all have different.
But you guys had stopped being friends.
Yes.
And then there were some years there, right?
Yes.
In between.
And so then there were a couple of very uncomfortable encounters when I was working for Joan, where Kathy came to do In Bed
Oh,
with
because
Joan,
they were
or Kathy
friends.
came. They had a lot in common. They
They're
really,
very-
they understood the experience of being a female, having done 2 shows that night, and having thousands of gay guys love on you, and then still going home to the hotel room and not having a man.
Wow.
You know, that's a very
real.
real
Yeah.
thing.
or
and
the one
only
you had
another-
was stealing your money with your ATM card. But
yeah, which isn't exactly how that happened, but
Right,
yeah, and so they had so much, and they're both super funny women, so
Yes.
they had a very
Right.
they had a lot of things to bond over that only they would understand, which is
Right,
really
right.
beautiful, and so yeah, so when they brought Kathy on for Fashion Police, obviously Kathy didn't want me to work there anymore. So she, you know, is the new star of the show, and she was like, he's, you know, fired, and that's completely the way show business works. And you can't have a, you know, joke writing with someone is incredibly intimate.
Right.
It's literally me speaking for you,
Right.
right? And so there's a certain affection and comfort that needs to be there. And if there's two people that don't like one another,
Right.
that's not going to produce the best stuff. So I have no ugliness.
You
There's
saw
nothing-
it coming, right?
Yes,
you sort of
it's
expected
the way
it.
it's the,
It's the
you
way
know,
it is.
you keep your on-camera talent
Right.
feeling supported and safe. And if this wasn't going to
Well,
work,
was that
for-
weird for Melissa to have to be in that position? Because, you know.
I thought it was not. That was a discussion
business.
between Kathy and the
The
president
net-
of the network.
the network.
So
Got it. Okay.
Everyone at Fashion Police was very sad to
Yeah.
see me go, but it was the reality, and I was like, whatever. I still love you guys, and I watched every episode. And
It's great
would
that you left
still call in-
nicely, so then you're.
Well, it wasn't
come back.
nicely, but
well,
it was.
you were
It was.
mature
I knew the
about
reason
it.
why.
You were
I knew
mature
why.
about
So
it.
you watched each episode and
And
thought, what a
so,
piece of
you
shit
know,
this is.
Yeah, I did. I thought
Right.
exactly that, and I was very surprised that this hilarious, funny woman was not doing any jokes, not
no,
even one.
No,
And then
she really tried to keep it clean,
surprise, surprise. Then she quit by Twitter, and
which is really
about-
professional.
Which is very classy.
yes, which is why she's worked so much on TV since. And
She's at a casino somewhere. Right?
And so and then they called me at E and said, we need you to come back, and is there any way to
That's
save
so
this show?
fantastic.
And it's for Melissa, I would do anything, and
Yeah.
and I feel like we've come back and reestablished the fun,
Yes, you
lighthearted
have.
party
Yes,
sense
you
Yes.
of it, and
Yes.
and
I like bringing in like you had Nene and different people coming in. And,
Yeah, and Nene, Nene has quite a reputation. I gotta say, Nene has been nothing but nice
Good.
to every single person there. She's been, she shows up and she's loud and opinionated, which is exactly what we want, but very friendly to everyone. Margaret, I cannot say enough wonderful stuff about.
Margaret
She's-
Cho, I'm a
she's
big
so
fan.
great.
Margaret Cho, that
She's
is
like
another
a female wizard.
That is
Yeah.
another
She's-
person. It's interesting, the Twitter world. Kevin hates the whole Twitter world. I understand why. But she's good to her fans. She'll actually acknowledge, and some of these famous people will only acknowledge other famous people's tweets or whatever. I think
yeah,
that's
no.
kind of funny. And
No,
Margaret
she-
is with everybody. You could tell she's grateful.
Totally grateful.
Yeah.
And she's a veteran. She's another
She's
one
a
that's been
veteran.
around forever.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I
but
knew
there's
her
some-
before I knew
yeah.
Kathy,
Oh,
actually.
wow.
And then she, this is a woman who, let's not forget, just last summer she was on the street corners in San Francisco clothing and feeding homeless people and doing shows and organizing an entire movement. And so it's so funny that now, because she's very actively defending Planned Parenthood,
Right.
as I believe all
We should.
Thank you.
reasonable
I took
people
my
should.
Catholic girlfriends to Planned Parenthood. One's watching right now. I
Yeah,
mean,
well,
hello.
good. Yeah. And so all of these people were like, you're trying to murder babies and you're
Oh,
a
get
despicable
over
person
yourself.
and you're a terrible person. And I'm thinking it's pretty hard to make the argument that she's a terrible person
Right.
when she was the one standing out there feeding and clothing the homeless, which
Homeless.
I'm pretty sure
I
is
didn't know
what,
about
the
that.
Christians are supposed to be doing.
Right.
Isn't that what
please.
the Bible
Let's
seems
not
to
get
Yes.
started on
so
the Christians.
I kind of feel like you can't come at her for that.
No.
But she's brilliant and smart and kind and just so, I would give her, here's jokes for the show. Let me know if there's anything here. And it was always like, do you need more of anything? And she was like, oh my God, honey, there's more than enough here. And she's hilarious. And you can give her a good joke and she'll make it a great joke. And just, I can't say enough wonderful stuff about Margaret.
And so Kelly
Excellent.
Osbourne is greatly missed at the show.
by
Yeah, you
Anybody?
know what? Another
Anybody?
entitled celebrity child.
Well, I mean, look, I never had any unkind
Right.
exchanges with Kelly, and I think she knows my name. I mean, 4.5 years later. But she.
But does
yeah.
Sharon know your name?
Look, I gotta say, I've only worked with Sharon like once or twice, and the woman is a powerhouse.
Yeah.
Sharon Osbourne deserves everything she's ever gotten.
She's worked hard.
She's worked real hard, and
She's put up with a lot.
Smart.
Yeah.
And does her research
I like
and
her.
shows up prepared. And these are all things that everyone who's on camera should do, shouldn't they?
Right.
Yes. Like I should have known he was back on Fashion Police.
Oh gosh.
Oh, that's
no.
okay. That's why. That's why I'm here.
Whoops.
To bring you around.
Is there a special irony because of the journey with Kathy? I mean, she came on to the program, you left, you understood why you left, it fell through, and then you came back. I mean,
I
Is it karma?
It's just it's such a it's you were you,
like that I had a really good job.
Gay
that,
karma?
that I think I did well.
really well.
You did
and
well.
then she came in and fired me. And then she sucked.
Yeah.
Right.
And then she left, and then they brought me back with a raise. Is
Yeah.
that what you mean?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's
Yes,
called.
that's what we
yeah.
I don't know if
That little
irony
thing
is the
we're
word.
talking-
Is that irony? It's some small
we do
justice
love,
in
we
an
love,
unjust world.
we love justice and karma. It's
But,
good.
you know, but
Excellent.
keep in mind, this is a woman who is still, making 80 grand a night to go and do shows.
Oh,
Right.
For
totally.
people like
We're
this
not
is-
crying for Kathy.
No,
It's like you said
everything-
about Matt Damon about it. Oh God, isn't it too bad that Matt Damon doesn't have a blockbuster movie about to come out now, and
What
he can
is
say
that
whatever he
about?
wants to fucking say.
Is it what studio is it? Is it Sony?
But you know what? I
Sony
think that
probably.
we just talked about that in the earlier show, and I think that they're creating a little bit of drama for his Martian movie. Is that what you're talking about?
No, I
The
think it's
stupid-
working against the
It's
market. I think
working
the
against
studio
him.
that has
Oh.
that has to be sending someone over there saying you need to just
What
Shut the
studio
smile
is
mic
and
up.
wave.
The Martian?
I think it's
Do you know what
Sony.
studio it is?
I don't know.
No, but it's actually tracking for pre-sale tickets. It's tracking really well.
No, they think it's going to do $45 million this
It
weekend.
sparked the NASA.
See, isn't any press good press, bad or good? I mean,
Well,
isn't that the way
Well,
it
but
works?
I mean, I think that we've learned from Stonewall. No, that's not true. That
Yeah.
I think when you really, really upset the gays, they can organize and do a lot of damage. Now, Stonewall was a movie that they were selling to us, and then we called bullshit
Right.
and said no, thank you. And so then it made $117,000 in its opening weekend.
and now the
and
director,
cost $14
the
million
director
to make.
today
Wow.
is saying, well, actually,
It was
we
made
were
for
targeting
straight
that for
people,
straight
straight
people.
people.
Well,
And how
then
did that
let
work
me
out
flip
for
you
you?
off with my other finger too.
Yeah,
then.
so
Wow.
that made it even worse.
But so The Martian will still be a huge hit, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. But I must admit, less so.
Yeah,
now. I mean,
yeah.
Matt Damon has always been really cool and
they're
sorry,
saying
like-
they're saying that he was misquoted.
Well, what
about
about
the
when he
gay
interrupted
comment.
the black
Well, it all
lady
started
and
with the
told her
video,
about how diversity
with the
works?
interview with the black lady. That started it.
It's 2 in 2 weeks.
Now it's just like it's getting worse every time he tries to. Well, he keeps stepping in it every time.
and I think when you go on Ellen,
Right.
and don't make things clearer, then that's kind of on you. This
It's
is Ellen.
Fox,
This is
by the way.
This is
Oh,
it is
it's
it's a
Fox.
Fox. Yeah, they've got to be literally crapping.
Look
in
what
there.
happened to Caitlyn Jenner on Ellen when she
Yeah.
went on and made
Yeah.
her remarks about gay marriage.
Her
I mean,
ratings have gone down drastically.
but
Yeah,
they
and
renewed
Kate-
the show. They did renew
Yeah,
it.
but her ratings, I mean, people are
Yeah.
over it.
And she got off from that car wreck, even though the 2 families are still suing her.
Right.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Did you watch?
But they
Caitlyn?
wouldn't
I
be
did
suing her
every
for what
episode.
she
Me
wasn't
too.
rich.
What do you think? What were your thoughts?
You know, I think that it's an important show. It's
Yes.
television with a capital T.
Yeah.
And I don't think that that's a show that was necessarily made to entertain me,
Right.
my demographic, middle-aged gay men who know trans people.
Right.
There wasn't a lot in that I was like, wow, I never knew that. So it wasn't necessarily for me. I think it was a beautifully made show.
Mm-hmm.
I think, like all Kardashian productions, the timeline was impossible to follow. I never believed anything was really
Right,
happening
right.
sincerely or genuinely or for the first time or anything. Everything felt like the ninth take. But that's but I
Together
mean-
again for
and
the
they
first
need
time.
and they need acting lessons.
No, I do. I felt, but this is an incredibly important subject, and
It
I'm
is.
glad that we had 3 shows this
I
year.
know.
There was Becoming Us, and there's I Am Jazz, and there's
Yeah,
or not,
I love
I Am
that.
Jazz. What's it? Jazz, the Jazz
I think
show.
you're right.
And then I Am Kate. Like 3
Focus
stories
on
about
transgender.
yes, and very different stories.
And didn't
The
you
ones-
believe? I thought her posse, her group of ladies.
Well,
around
that
They
her-
were
Jenny
all bought and
Boylan.
paid for.
I'm ready. That Jenny Boylan, I will go anywhere
Yes.
she wants to meet and have lunch. I will work on her lawn.
I
will go to
remember
Soup
she was on
Plantation.
Oprah years back when
What
she
an
first
amazing
went through
person.
her transition.
Amazing,
Yeah.
amazing person.
And it's the
so,
best
I mean,
thing-
and all of them, all of her sister girls. I
Candace
thought were
Kane
great.
is the greatest thing for Candace
super
Kane.
cool.
Yeah,
super cool.
Yeah. So
The other one was
hopefully-
called Becoming Us.
Becoming Us, which
Yeah.
we
Yeah,
talked
Becoming
about
Us.
the 2 high school kids and their
Yeah.
fathers are both.
Yeah,
making
and that
the
one I didn't
transition.
respond to quite as much.
Right.
But I love what's the one with jazz? What's it called?
I Am Jazz.
It is I Am Jazz. Okay.
Oh,
Which is excellent.
well, who
Yeah,
has the
that
title
show
for
I
I Am
love.
Kate and I Am Jazz?
I know that doesn't seem right,
Wow.
but okay,
Yeah.
whatever.
Okay. Who had that first?
Well, let's look.
I am Jazz.
But those parents, to
I
have a
know.
little,
Amazing.
to have a little whatever, a 4-year-old,
Yeah.
son
I Am
who
Jazz.
is saying no, I'm a, and those parents have. I remember them on Oprah many years ago,
Yes.
and the shit that they took, and so that's
Even on
there's
I
a
Am
kind
Kate,
of
when they went to
bravery.
the support group, they went to Children's Hospital and we saw the
Yes.
parents.
that camp.
Yeah.
for all the trans youth to go and
Amazing.
stuff. I mean, like
I know.
that's important shit.
Yeah.
They're not
It is
doing
important.
that on Real Housewives of OC.
No.
Okay, Tony.
But
Cancer scare.
do we want to talk about
Cancer
Empire? Speaking of mega hits, Empire?
Well, I'm a newbie to Empire because I didn't know about it until the finale, and I watched the finale, and I was hooked like a drug addict. I love Taraji, obviously, and everything that comes out of her mouth. I think the one camera, the way they do it, is amazing. The music, the whole thing is just like sitting with a box of chocolates. You're just
Here's
in
the
heaven
question, though.
the whole time.
Here's the question.
But
Which son do you want to fuck the most? Because if that show won't give you jungle fever,
Okay.
nothing
Nothing
will.
will.
And as
You
you
know
know,
what?
you like being with that black man. So Empire, you must
For
be in
me,
heaven. Oh my
that's
God.
me. That's looking at the Sizzler
Tony,
buffet.
I
Okay.
was
When I watch that show.
All you can
I
eat.
don't care where my mouth lands.
Oh, thank you.
I don't
And
care.
you know,
I
there's-
don't care if
who
it's
do
precious.
I want to fuck on that show? Taraji.
Taraji.
Wow,
Amazing.
Dara.
Wow, Kevin. Good for Kevin.
Yeah.
Good for
No, and
Kevin.
this is Dara who's never touched the lady pond before. So
Well,
go,
I'm not so
Dara.
sure about that.
Okay, love that,
No,
Dara.
she
Once in
hasn't.
college.
No, you know what?
You know-
We just talked about this last night because we were watching TV and these girls were kissing, and they weren't obviously lesbian. They were just, and we all agreed. Me, Kevin, and Nicholas, our 16-year-old, who does that? Me and my girlfriends never kissed when we would be out doing stuff. So this, I don't know if it's a generational thing where
It is.
everybody
You didn't get
acts
drunk
they're-
like one time in college you got drunk? That's how I end up with a woman.
That's how you ended up with a No, you know what? I have to say, speaking of college, I'm glad that I never really got drunk and did all that because 1 out of 5 girls, sexually assaulted in
Chlamydia.
college.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
no.
Not chlamydia.
No.
Oh, something
So-
worse.
No, but she is my favorite character on Empire.
Oh, Lord.
She's
Yes.
amazing.
So
Wonderful.
Empire season 2, second night is tonight. I'm missing it again because I'm up here, but I'm taping it.
Well, they're
Great
talking
show.
about an Empire spinoff.
What
but
would
it's,
it be?
It's
Oh.
Empire
Really?
2. Yeah, but it's all in the beginning stages. I just read that on IMDb.
Well, here, I
Do you
have
like
a little
Empire?
concern. I have a concern that it's jumping the shark.
by
this-
having too
this
many
season.
celebs on.
No, based on the first episode, I don't know what the fuck that was. I felt like it was
Too
a whole
much.
different show. Sometimes when they change showrunners, you can
Sure.
tell.
Yeah.
But they didn't change.
No, same
What's a
team.
showrunner?
The executive
Makes it
producer,
happen.
the creator who kind of guides the show. But like, first of all, Chris Rock as the thug,
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
that
thing.
didn't work for me.
I agree.
and the cameos seemed so.
Well, everybody
of-
wants to be on the show, and that's what that's
Yeah.
what they're going to get in trouble
Leon Talley or
Try to
whatever the
please
fashion
everybody.
guy,
Right,
and Al
right.
Sharpton. It just seems so obviously a cameo. I like things that organic, like it
Right.
makes
Yeah,
sense why
I mean,
they were
I did believe those people would be at a rally.
right.
I mean, has there ever been a rally that Al Sharpton wasn't at?
Right.
So I think that
But
that was
has Leon ever been at one?
well, but it was New York and
Right.
it was cookie. Yes. So I mean, I thought Don Lemon's cameo was interesting because
was a funny line
he
she
allowed
had.
himself to get shit on a
Right,
little, which I
right.
thought was cool of him.
Yeah.
Yes.
But for me, okay, and this is as a middle-aged white person, so this is not my bone to pick, but I did have to say, as a television producer, it occurred to me that the opening scene was a Free Lucius rally,
Right.
and it was beautifully shot and it looked amazing, and Cookie Lance comes, she's in the cage and she takes the gorilla mask off, and then she gives this brilliant speech. I
Right.
mean, eloquently
Right.
written, so on point about just the number of people in prison and incarceration and the
That's-
generation.
yeah.
But the previous scene was them backstage where her son says to her, "Why are we doing all this when we all know he's guilty?" And she was like, "It don't matter. We're trying to get ours. We're taking over this company." And I just thought there are a lot of black men in prison legitimately that
Right.
should be freed, and to have the opening scene be a Free Lucius rally when he's guilty,
Obviously guilty.
seems
That's a
like
good
maybe
point.
not the best message. But I was looking on social media for it. No one else
No one
seemed,
seemed to
to
bother.
think so good. But I
Well,
just thought, was there a line that got edited? I hope for time where she said, look, it doesn't matter that he's not guilty. This is still an important message, and people need to
Right.
hear this.
Right.
And they thought it was somehow preachy.
Right.
I hope it was a weird
was cut
editorial
out.
editorial
But
choice.
do you find that's the problem I have with the show too? It's almost like they take these giant leaps. Like all of a sudden, Boo
No,
Boo,
you're right.
Boo Boo
That's
Kitty,
really smart.
because
Boo
they
Boo
don't have
Kitty.
to
You're right.
represent all black people.
No.
That's really
Dynasty in Dallas didn't represent white people.
Right.
There's no reason why this particular group of wealthy African Americans have to represent all black. They don't have to. But in a way they do. This is
They-
the only show
Right.
that has that.
This is
you
the
know,
dynasty for black people.
it is, and I love it.
But like me, I'm praying that it keeps doing well, because if it doesn't, it's going to give the industry one more time to go, well, see, we put a predominantly African American show
well,
in the
those
air.
numbers are. I mean, to
22
build-
million
yeah.
last
You
week.
need to get that point to them, because that is a really good point.
No, no,
what
no,
you, no, it's true
I'm
though.
sure it was
How do you
discussed.
jump from A to
Well-
D and not do B and C? I think that's important.
Well, they do it with characters like Boo Boo Kitty, the girlfriend, the ex girlfriend.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, she's now there in alignment with. And it's like
Right.
the last time we saw her, she was with Judd Nelson and against the family.
Right.
And suddenly, and then she says,
he's-
"I slept with her because I don't know."
Well, the
It was-
numbers jumped from 16.2 million to 22.5 million
Yeah.
for the season 2 premiere.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
because it's gotten so much hype.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
everybody's tuning in now. But
so even if
Tony
it
makes a
levels
good
off
point.
at 10 million, it's
Right.
still a hit.
Oh
I mean,
yeah,
it's-
and I think that it will. I think that they'll have. I didn't like most of the songs last season,
right.
And so I think they're gonna have better music.
Didn't they
Right.
bring in
You know-
someone else?
Yeah, I think they. I mean, everybody wants to be involved
Is
with
it
the show now. They have access.
Timberland is still there though, right? Isn't
Yeah,
he the-
Timberland is the
main-
the
they need to
music
be
supervisor
careful
or
with
whatever,
letting
but
too many people in.
I just always thought it was bullshit when they would just walk into the club and just like bust into
Bust
the
into
song,
the
like they were
song.
carrying their own handheld mics and shit. Like, would you have that in your purse? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, no,
really?
you're right.
Okay.
You're right.
You know, it's TV. That's nobody wants a scene at sound check. I guess that's kind of dull. So.
Well,
Right.
all the Marissa Tomei now, all the big guest stars coming up this
See,
season.
I just think she's just dreadful on it.
She was
Chris
horrible.
Rock, I had no problem with Chris Rock because I was like, wow, he's really. I kind of like the idea of this big major drug kingpin being this
Not being
scrawny
so on the
little,
nose.
Yes,
Yeah.
this scrawny
That's
little
a good
guy who
point.
clearly was smart.
That's a good
and
point.
outsmarted all the thugs. I was kind of like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Marissa Tomei as this thirsty lesbian. Who is she from the South? What was her
I
accent?
don't
I'm not
know.
sure.
And
Was
she had
it
the,
just- did
the
she have
flock
a-
of seagulls haircut.
have
Remind me
a-
of Showgirls.
Yeah, but it was like, does she have a pubic hair on her tongue, or is she from Texas? I truly do not.
Yeah,
So-
that didn't make sense.
That was kind of weird, but I love the show, and
Oh, yeah,
I'll
I'm
take
TiVoing it. I'll
and
be
I
watching.
love that they're getting like real fashion now, like just that she's just like Dior, bitch, like in scene 1.
Are
like,
we concerned Gabby Sidibe may just drop dead though on the set?
It is,
Did
you
she-
know. Well, first of all, now you're fat shaming. So,
I think she lost
a lot of weight,
Jasper
actually.
does it all the time.
No.
People tell me that all the time, and I'm sorry, I have eyes, and she didn't.
I'm concerned
She's-
about her health. Seriously.
Of course, look, you guys. She's huffing and puffing.
Yes.
all the.
I think
and
she was
she's
sweating Crisco at one
so
point
talented.
it looked pretty greasy.
Oh.
so
wow.
talented, and
It really
so
did.
Could have this amazing, great career.
If we could see her eyes.
but it really is. She's really, really.
I'm sorry.
No, I mean,
See,
I
Tony,
really.
you thought you.
It's no, because here's the thing. I mean, look, I love these kinds of jokes and stuff, but it's so weird. It's such a weird time for comedy that you can't
Everything.
comment on that without. It's now you're bullying and it's attack, and it's like, okay, but what if it's true?
True, it's a fact.
What if What if there are health? I'm not talking about Gabrielle Sidibe.
She
what
for
if there
sure
are
has health
issues?
stuff, the huffing and puffing.
Yes.
And yes.
And knees are meant to last for 60 or
Right.
70 years.
Yes.
They're not
Right.
supposed to be blown out at 25.
Right.
Does she have blown out knees?
I do not know about her, but I'm just saying it's very, very common for people of size
Right.
Right.
to, need knee replacement.
She's
Right.
very
and
young.
stuff.
She's
And
a young
yes,
girl.
And a heart disease and the
Right,
diabetes and all this
right.
stuff. Like, and that Nicole, what's her ass that did the Dear Fat People video?
Oh,
She's an
yeah.
asshole, and she's not ever been funny once ever that I've seen.
No.
But what she said. The facts of what she said are
Yes.
pretty medically sound.
Right.
Now,
Yes.
do all fat people smell like sausage? No.
No.
Oh, no, of course not.
Yes.
Only
But
a few.
I knew one.
But I really thought, wow, this girl like really got vilified for something. Now she did it under the guise of comedy, and there was no comedy.
she wasn't
No,
funny.
she
not
wasn't
funny or
funny.
talented.
Right.
No.
But mathematically, the idea of saying, no one is born, no human body wants to be 350 pounds.
Right.
You have to be forcing it
Right.
constantly to do that. That takes a lot of
Right,
effort.
right.
I do think
That's
that
not a thyroid
when
problem.
people say, well, some of us are just born bigger. Like, no one's born that
No.
big.
morbidly
No.
obese.
So
No.
I do think that is a valid part of the conversation that no one is allowed to have at this.
But this
environment.
takes me back to Joan Rivers in many ways, because Joan,
Yes.
of course, was accused many times of
Yes.
crossing over, and even not long before she died. Remember the whole Frederica Whitfield interview on CNN?
Yes.
But Joan was, the Elizabeth Taylor jokes and
Of
all that
course.
stuff. So she always had to sort of
We got in trouble a lot. There were a lot of things, and what part of the loss of Joan is she was the last person that could say any of that stuff. I mean, Don Rickles is still working, but he doesn't ever. He messes with people in the audience, but he doesn't do celebrity. He doesn't do culture, and he doesn't do Precious is so fat blank jokes. That's not his deal, and that was Joan's. And that kind of comedy died with her. A lot of people say good
Kathy
riddance.
Griffin, you think still does it a little bit?
No, because she doesn't do.
Apparently Kathy didn't want to talk bad about people all of a sudden. It was like, really?
Yeah.
Well, I think the new It Girl is Amy Schumer in comedy.
She's brilliant.
She's brilliant. Yeah, and I'm hoping she gets an Oscar nomination for she's Trainwreck.
Really, really,
She got an Emmy.
Yeah, but she could be nominated for an Oscar too, even for screenplay.
And I thought that John Cena was incredible in that
Hilarious.
movie.
Yeah.
And I thought that LeBron James was
hilarious.
So good and so like
it's a good movie.
And Bill Hader, I'm so glad to see Bill getting his props.
Colin Quinn has never been better in anything.
I know.
And
I know.
I thought those people overshadowed her. I mean, I know it's her movie, but I thought those people really came to play.
I have to ask you, what do you keep up with Lynn Koplitz? Lynn?
Yeah.
Because I listened to Jenny McCarthy. She's on Jenny, Dirty Sexy Funny.
Oh, good.
And I'm going back to Joan and Melissa, the reality show that you both were on together. You guys were funny together.
We didn't get along.
No, but that's what I liked.
Well,
it was good television.
She lives in New York.
Right.
And I'm never in New York, and she's never really out here. So we were only ever together when the cameras were rolling, and we just bugged each other. And that... people love that, and so they kept putting us together more.
But it was
more.
real. That's what I mean. It was real. Now, would you do more? But I will
say,
go ahead.
After when Joan's passing happened,
how did you find out? Did Melissa call
I was in bed. It was a Thursday morning, and I got a call at 20 minutes after 8 from Larry Ambrose, who's Joan's other writer. That we worked together on almost everything, and he's brilliant. And he said, "Hey, have you heard about Joan?" And I knew exactly. You just knew, you know. Oh. And raced into the E building, and we were getting bits and pieces of information that day, and then got out to New York, and I have to say, Melissa, when I was flying to New York, I was at LAX, and she called and said, "What time do you land tonight?" And I said, I land at, I don't know, let's say 6 o'clock. And she says, "Okay, I want you to come to the hospital before you go to the hotel. Just bring your bags. I really want to make sure that you get a chance to say goodbye to Mom." And that's not a sentence that you need to read between the lines. And so she was in the coma at that point. But, I knew. So I went and I sat with Joan and Melissa for a long time. And then Melissa left. And I sat there holding Joan's hand and talked to her and hung out with her for an hour and a half or so. And
was that really important for you to do that?
You never get that.
Right,
you don't get that when a person is passed. Most people die, and you know. And Joan again lived a whole life not leaving anything unsaid.
Right.
But she also didn't like. July 28th was the first day that I had met her. And so on the 28th of July, every year I would say, it's our 1-year anniversary, it's our whatever. So when we had, had our 4-year anniversary, and I was like, "Look, I know you hate it when I get sentimental about this stuff, but 4 years ago, you really changed my life, and I want you to know how much I appreciate it." And she says, "Don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. I hate this." And I was like, "No, I really, I want you to understand how much it matters to me." And she said, "Look, when we get to 20 years, then we'll have this talk, okay? But just leave me alone until then. I love you. I know you love me. We don't have to talk about it." And so I remember being there in the ICU, and she was there with no makeup, and her
one time.
And I'd seen her with no makeup, but this was like medically no makeup. You know what I mean? Like, right. She had this fur blanket on, and I was like, still with the fur.
Good
you can't
for her.
fucking. And I was holding her hand, and her manicure had grown out because it had been, and I'd never seen her with a less than perfect manicure. And I was like, "Girl, we got to talk about these nails. This is just, this is not acceptable." And I just said, a couple months ago, you stopped me when I was trying to tell you all the reasons I'm grateful, and I'm just going to go through and list them now. And if you don't like it, then you can just sit up in this bed and stop me. Otherwise, you're going to have to listen to it.
Wouldn't that have been fantastic?
It would have been. So, and then she was on the machines for a few more days, and then it passed, and then the funeral happened, which was of course surreal.
Surreal.
And
Well, listen,
Yeah.
the time has flown.
Wow. Tony needs to come back.
I know,
Oh,
Tony.
anytime,
You are welcome to come
anytime.
here anytime.
So
you have your
entertaining.
website, right?
Yeah,
TonyTripoli.com.
TonyTripoli.com. And hey, by the way, I'm in
Yes,
Palm
yes.
Springs this weekend.
Oh.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, opening for Joe Posa, who is a Joan Rivers impersonator.
Oh,
At
right.
the Purple
and-
Room?
At the Purple Room, yes.
I live right across the
He's
street.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, but please
Friday,
come.
Saturday-
Friday,
which-
Saturday, and then Sunday afternoon.
Sunday brunch? You do the
Yeah,
brunch thing?
it's like a 1 o'clock
Yeah.
or something. And he's hilarious. He does all Joan's real jokes, and he is. He's great, and I just love it. And so it's like I'm opening for Joan one more
Oh,
time,
great,
and it's gonna
Tony.
it's a really loving tribute.
It's
but,
a great
but funny.
place. It's a fun
not like a
place.
sentimental show. Like we get down. So
And
please,
if you ever
please,
need like a real person on Fashion Police, I'll help.
love it. We'll
She's
be
the
back.
Real Housewife of Orange County.
Fashion Police will be back
Yeah.
for the American Music Awards
Okay.
special November. I think it's the 23rd, maybe of November.
Somewhere toward the end
and
of
then
November.
of course for awards season.
Which is coming up
You are
big time.
great, Tony.
Oh, you're
Very
so nice.
Tony,
entertaining.
thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, JW.
Ralph, Dara.
Thank
it's
you,
fast,
Jasper,
right?
Where's
for
the
this.
time
It was.
So now remember, everyone, the last Wednesday of every month, these two bitches will be back.
Hey.
And we'll be in the shallow room. But
Yes.
back next Wednesday, Dominic, who do we have next week? Do we know? Oh, okay.
Surprising.
Well,
Always
That
a
means he doesn't
surprise.
that means
Dominic
we like,
Friesen appeared.
we like to surprise you at the last
Well, it
minute.
won't be Kylie
They go
Jenner
back
'cause-
to the
'cause
no fluff
She
zone.
was booked for Fashion Police this week and canceled
Kylie
the day
did?
before.
Oh,
So-
and you know, Kendall dropped her
Shit
last
on
name
her.
because she wants to be a little bit more disassociated.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
Wait,
I'm
Kendall's not
fighting with
Jen-
Kylie.
oh.
She's just Kendall now. What?
Oh, to be continued.
Yeah.
Yes.
Say,
I'm
yeah,
mad
you
at her.
Come back next month. Let's do it monthly, Tony.
Sure,
like a big
love
old
to.
period.
JW, thank you
Yes,
so
my
much.
pleasure.
Dominic Friesen,
Loved it.
big shout out. All our sponsors and everyone. Tune in next week, same time, same place. Bye.
See you next month, Planet
Thanks for
Earth.
checking out One on One with Jasper Cole. Check out past episodes and get the latest as they're released. Subscribe today on iTunes, Stitcher, and YouTube.